310 horsepower, a centrifugal supercharger spinning at a mind-bending 130,000 RPM. The Kawasaki Ninja H2R is an absolute mechanical beast. Well, right up until something goes wrong. Because tearing down and repairing the world's fastest production motorcycle engine, that isn't just basic maintenance. It takes absolute precision, patience, and honestly, a completely different mindset. Welcome back to Uncommon Think, where we don't just fix machines, we master the engineering behind them. Today, for this explainer, we are going deeper than anyone else into the heart of the H2R. From checking ultra-tight tolerances to rebuilding the supercharger assembly, we're breaking down the entire repair process step by step. If you want to see what actual hyperbike engineering looks like from the inside out, you're in the right place. Let's dive right into Section 1, the supercharged beast. 326. That is the staggering horsepower this absolute monster pushes out when the Ram air system is fully engaged. It literally cements the H2R as the apex predator of production motorcycles. But look, hyperperformance, it comes with a massive hypertax. Generating 326 horsepower creates unbelievable stress on the engine's internal components. And that brings us to the hidden, gritty cost of all that power. The magic, or maybe terrifying threshold here, is 8,000. The very second that tachometer needle crosses 8,000 RPM, the bike's ECU secretly starts a hidden timer. No joke. It meticulously logs every single second the engine spends operating under that extreme supercharged stress. This is definitely not your standard mileage-based street bike maintenance. This is basically an aircraft-style service tracking system. Which leads us to Section 2, extreme maintenance realities. So that mechanical toll adds up shockingly fast. The instrument cluster actually counts down from 15 hours. At 15 hours of accumulated over 8,000 RPM time, boom, you hit Service 1, which requires deep engine inspections. At 30 hours, you're at Service 2. But look at that 60-hour mark. At just 60 hours of hard engine use, Kawasaki explicitly dictates that you must completely tear down the engine to replace the exhaust valves and the connecting rods. I mean, this is full-blown race team rebuild territory, mandated for a bike you can literally buy right off the showroom floor. And it's not just the deep internals that need constant monitoring. The supercharger itself demands meticulous attention. Owners have to regularly inspect and clean the supercharger oil screen. On the H2 forums, we're seeing meticulous owners finding things like 0.06 millimeters of axial play on the supercharger impeller at just 1,000 kilometers of riding. It's crazy. It requires constant, unrelenting vigilance. Now, let's contrast those high-flying performance specs with the gritty financial reality. What does this level of mechanical scrutiny actually cost? Well, one forum owner shared a dealer quote for a routine valve check, 9.8 hours of book time, totaling $1,715. And guys, that is just for the labor. Meanwhile, a highly skilled owner doing the exact same job themselves in the garage spent about $650 purely on replacement parts. Think gaskets, seals, and oil screens. So whether you pay a pro shop or do it yourself, the maintenance tax is absolutely massive. All right, Section 3, real-world carnage. Now, what's really interesting here is when we compare engine failures side by side, a pretty stark contrast emerges. On one hand, you have a high-mileage bike at 81,000 miles that suffered a freak mechanical failure. It dropped a valve keeper, snapped the valve tip, and completely broke the valve guide. Yet, miraculously, mechanics found that the piston and cam were completely undamaged during the teardown. Totally wild. On the other hand, we see a teardown of an abused bike. The owner just sat revving the bike in neutral all day purely to hear the supercharger flutter. The result of that abuse? A continuously welded tensioner, a severely stretched supercharger chain, cracked guide strips, and completely scored outer crankshaft bearings. But the middle bearings remained pristine. It perfectly illustrates how careless abuse destroys these complex engines way faster than actual hard riding mileage. And sometimes the most catastrophic damage is prevented by the absolute simplest things. During one of these intensive engine removals, the mechanic noted a completely battered, super simple mesh guard sitting right in front of the radiator. Without that cheap little guard, a single rogue rock thrown from a front tire at extreme speeds would have instantly destroyed a $700 radiator. It's just a brilliant, highly practical detail straight from the garage floor. Moving on to Section 4, the transmission toll. Because the H2 uses a cassette-style transmission, mechanics can actually slide the entire gear cluster straight out of the side of the bike. Pretty handy. The stock H2 transmission has incredibly short first and second gears. Actually, as one owner put it, you can't even touch the throttle without the bike popping an uncontrollable wheelie. To tame this beast, guys will swap in the transmission from the H2 SE model. The SE features taller first and second gears, which allows for much smoother, more manageable power delivery when you're rocketing out of corners. So why was that transmission being swapped out in the first place? Well, after 84,000 miles of the owner deliberately doing hard second gear wheelies, the bike developed a violent, loud clunk, clunk, clunk sound in second gear. When they drained the oil and pulled the cassette transmission out, they found the culprit perfectly preserved, a single, cleanly sheared gear tooth sitting right at the bottom of the oil pan. The absolute sheer force of a supercharged engine biting into the pavement over tens of thousands of miles eventually just snapped solid steel. Unbelievable. Let's bring it all back together in Section 5, the meticulous rebuild. I absolutely love this piece of community wisdom from a user named Champ87 on the H2 forum. They said, "It's amazing how fast you can go when you take your time." It beautifully sums up the exact mindset you need to successfully rebuild a world-class supercharged engine. Rushing through a job like this, that literally just leads to catastrophic, wallet-destroying mistakes. Let's move to the repair process and see how this builds. Look at the highly specific science required just to fix that single broken valve guide we discussed earlier. First off, the mechanic had to locally heat the entire cylinder head, then use freeze spray on the 13.35mm guide just to shrink it enough to drive it into place. Next, they had to precisely ream the inside of the new guide out to exactly 4.5mm. Then, they applied Dicam steel blue layout dye to the valve, lapping it by hand to verify a microscopically perfect seal on the engine seat. Finally, the head bolts had to be torqued in a very specific multi-stage sequence, first to 22 foot-pounds and then up to 49 foot-pounds. This isn't just wrenching, guys, it is exacting science. But right alongside that rigid science, there is some brilliant, real-world mechanical ingenuity. The writer community has developed these amazing reassembly hacks. For instance, to trap rogue dirt particles, mechanics will smear a thick layer of grease on the dirty side of the airbox. Another absolutely vital hack: applying engine oil or grease to the timing axis cover O-ring before installation. If you pinch or tear that O-ring going in dry, it creates an unholy mess of an oil leak down the side of the engine. Oh, and actually, here's a massive one. You must install the front chain guide keeper bolt before putting the engine back into the motorcycle frame, or you won't be able to reach it and you are completely out of luck. So what does this all mean? We arrive at the ultimate question. After seeing the grueling reality of 15-hour service intervals, superchargers spinning at 130,000 RPM, and perfectly sheared solid steel gear teeth, is the thrill of a 300-plus horsepower hyperbike truly worth the extreme mechanical toll? It is a stark, fascinating contrast between mind-bending, reality-warping performance out on the track and the uncompromising, forensic dedication required in the garage just to keep it alive. I'll leave you to think on that. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and let's get your mind revving. You're watching Uncommon Think. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and we'll catch you next time.